Today we're going to be working on this Jonsered chainsaw that has a broken pull cord and doesn't start. Hope everybody's having a great day. We're going to be working on this Jonsered chainsaw, which is essentially just a rebadged Husqvarna. First thing we're going to do is take off this protective cover so we can get down to it. Now this pull cord is not retracting all the way, so we'll need to remove those 4 bolts in order to get to it. One of the things about these pull cords is that if you actually pull it out too far, it'll get in a bind and it won't actually break, it'll just get stuck. So that's the first thing we're going to check. And since we have this cover off, let's go ahead and see if the engine is seized. And as that is turning by hand, I know the engine is not seized, which is a good thing. All you have to do is take a pair of water pump pliers and turn it in the winding direction. And if it's stuck, it should come free, just like so. And now our pulley is working again. So now we're going to reinstall that cover and see if we can crank it. Also, you want to make sure that you have gas in the engine. It's an important step. Yep, it's in there. If you notice, I'm not able to move that pull cord very far. This is usually because the engine has not been run in a long time, and there's a little bit of buildup between the bearing surfaces, and it's hard to rotate. But as I continue to pull, that goes away, and you're able to feel like it's cranking like normal. However, it does not start. And there is a good reason it does not start. When I depress the primer bulb, it should suck fuel into the primer bulb because this is a two-stroke motor. However, it doesn't happen because the primer bulb has a hole in it. The next thing we're going to do is test our spark plug. Now, I did learn a trick to test the spark plug, and I'll go ahead and tell you that right now.
Sometimes when you want to test the spark plug, the easiest way to do it is take it out, put the boot back on, and then get it to touch ground on the engine. But when you don't have enough hands, it's kind of hard to get good contact. So what I found is you just take a little alligator clamp one into the opening of the spark plug and the other into the spark plug itself, anywhere but the centerpiece, it should spark.
So before we bother changing out the actual spark plug, I'm going to take this cover back off and I'm going to check the actual magnets that go to the coil. The magnets are on the rotating surface that connects to the crankshaft. There should be a gap about the size of a business card, and the gap is intact. Now to check the magnets, all you need to do is take something that's ferrous or metallic and put it up to each of the 3 magnets. If each of the 3 magnets have magnetism, then you know you're good there. The next thing we're going to do is actually check the coil itself. And before you go and replace the coil, there is one more thing that no one really does, at least I don't see them doing that, and that is to file down the posts that the coil attaches to. Over time, rust and buildup can get on these posts and prevent it from making good contact, and the spark won't happen. So all you have to do is take a file and file it down until it's nice and shiny, nice and smooth, and then hook the coil back up. Now there is another trick to set one of these coils, especially if you can't get a business card in there. If you take a short 3-inch zip tie and use the small end and just stick it in there, the magnet will hold it against the coil itself. Then just tighten down your coil. Pull that zip tie right out of there and your gap should be perfect. And boom, I have a spark, but you can't see it, so let's dim those lights. Let's get a little bit closer for you guys. And now this is the same spark plug, didn't change the plug. Now you see there, perfect spark. So all I gotta do now is put this back in the engine, torque it down, and see if she cranks. So after fixing the coil and swapping out that new primer bulb that now has gasoline in it, it still didn't crank. So one of the things I felt like is that the carburetor settings had been adjusted. A lot of times people try to adjust these settings because they think that's why their engine is not cranking. However, on this motor, we all know it was the spark. So it has a really weird sound. It cranks for like 2 seconds and stops. So I'm gonna mess with the low side of the carburetor and see if we can get this thing to start. And one of the things you need to use, a good investment, is to actually get some carburetor adjustment wrenches. There are several different types. You know, this one is spline, but if you get an entire set like I've got, you probably see that there's between 10 and 15 different types of carburetor adjustment screws. that got us close because it was trying to run, but we're still not quite there. There it is, now it's running. So what I like to do is let it get hot. So I run it on full throttle for about a minute, and then I go back and I make those settings again when the engine is warm, and usually that takes care of it. And you just kind of have to feel for it by ear, unless you have the manual. Or if you get a new carburetor, they're generally set pretty spot on if you get a new factory-built carburetor, and that's all. That's all I've got for today. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like button, leave me a comment, let me know what you thought, and feel free to subscribe.